squad with a top gaffer. This has got the potential, guys. It really does. But let's see. Now that Maxence Lacroix is in, where else are we looking in the transfer window? There are updates here, and I'm not sure if all of this is fully true. Ben Jacobs says Chelsea are not expected to enter the race for Bruno Guimaraes. No approach or bid made. Now, we've also heard this before, and let's add a bit more context here. Simon Phillips has rolled with this too, and I believe in this. Chelsea briefed they were not in for Alex Scott not long ago. Then it came out that they sent an offer this week. Not saying we will get Bruno Guimaraes, but yeah, that is how it works sometimes. He wants Arsenal, but they are dithering, as they did with Morgan Rogers. So this is very true. Chelsea obviously had a bid go in for Alex Scott that was rejected, £64 million. Arsenal have agreed personal terms with Bruno. Bruno wants to go to Arsenal, but Arsenal aren't willing to match what Newcastle's asking price is. Bruno's 28, he turns 29. And I think this summer, the tide is changing a little bit. Maybe he does go to Arsenal. Maybe even at the time of recording this, things move quickly in the transfer market. But there is a lot of similarities between the briefs that we've received today from various different journalists saying, nah, Chelsea aren't interested in Bruno. But we've also heard there was another Premier League club interested in Bruno. Who is that other Premier League club then? Because we're not hearing anything about that either. And there is consistency within the inconsistency. Chelsea don't want Alex Scott. Then we go and put in a bid and it's rejected. I've still got a funny feeling there's a long way to go here. Bruno Guimaraes is my dream midfield signing. Adam Wharton is also right up there too. But I think when it comes to Crystal Palace and negotiating with Chelsea, we've not managed to see another player go in Palace's direction as of right now. But I'm sure Chelsea will have been testing the waters with Palace in these conversations. If Bedad Egbali is going there in New York City to have a meeting, I think it was with Steve Parish, the Crystal Palace ownership board. Parish, I don't know how much he's got. I think it's like 10% or whatever it is. But we have now got Maxence Lacroix done. These are two top targets, Morgan Rogers and Lacroix, that we don't have to do more background checks. We don't have to do more work. So now the focus is very much on the midfield. And the question will be, what's going to happen with Enzo? Do we need to replace Enzo? Or are we going to be looking at something a bit cheaper? That's my missus who's walking past, by the way, for people that don't know or don't understand.
To watch out for. Firstly, Bruno Guimaraes, unfortunately. Because the latest with Bruno is this. Arsenal, we all know, have put in this improved offer, which we've read is going to be rejected. No questions asked. We're waiting. We're waiting. There's literally no update from earlier on Bruno G. None. I got none. But the whole thing about Chelsea playing it down, the Chelsea brief of we've heard that Chelsea were playing it down and whatnot. Yeah, cool. Let's just play it down. Yeah? No inquiry was made. No talking was made, apparently. Briefings will brief. However, this is done intentionally for our favour, right? And I'm against briefings. You know what I'm like, right? It's the reason why I've gone in to try and find out what the hell's going on, right? But this, let's just say, word on the street, wait for the Arsenal to not sort out what they're sorting out with Newcastle, and then afterwards we'll go from there, basically, right? So you don't want to be able to show that you're going in order to force their hands for them to then buy, and then all of a sudden, oh my God, we flopped. Let Arsenal hesitate in the way they're hesitating, and let's see how that one's going to go. And once we get an answer there, we're going to know exactly what the way to the destination is. So let's see. However, Manchester City are a club that are more than capable of doing what Chelsea are capable of doing, which is paying Newcastle what they want. So if they need a central midfielder, I'm just saying, be careful, watch out, they might enter as well. They're more than capable. Now, we know that Bruno Guimaraes wants Arsenal, but wants London, okay? I'm hoping that's going to have an influence and he doesn't want to go and live in Manchester. That's just my own opinion, by the way. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen. I'm saying I hope that it's a factor that he takes into consideration. If Man City go in for him, I'm just saying watch out for that possibility of Man City going in for him. Second option, Manchester City perhaps try and make a move for Enzo Fernandez. Now, Enzo Fernandez, we know, wants Madrid. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean Real Madrid. We know Atletico are also interested in Enzo Fernandez. Is something going to happen at some point in the window? Perhaps. Perhaps. I can't say yes or no. I don't know. I'll be honest, I don't know. But it's a possibility. Just my thought, right? Not what I've been told, just my opinion. I've always thought he just wants to go to Madrid. I get Man City, Champions League football, Maresca. But does he really want to stay in England? I don't think so.
In the summer transfer window, momentum is everything until money alters the physics of a deal. For weeks, the dominant narrative surrounding Newcastle United's captain, Bruno Guimaraes, pointed toward a singular destination in North London. Arsenal had laid down the groundwork, held initial intermediary discussions, and prepared a structured proposal worth £70 million to test Newcastle's threshold. However, Premier League recruitment operates on fluid timelines. As Newcastle United internally set their valuation floor closer to £80 million, the dynamic shifted from a routine pursuit into a high-stakes strategic standoff. Chelsea's hierarchy, notorious for entering ongoing operations late with unmatched financial leverage, began quietly assessing the mechanics of Newcastle's position. This isn't merely about adding another midfielder. It's about a direct structural disruption to a direct rival's summer project. When an elite primary target becomes locked in price negotiation between two clubs, a window opens. Chelsea didn't just notice that window, they began measuring the frame. To comprehend why Chelsea would contemplate an operation of this scale, you have to look at the deadlock that formed in North London. Arsenal's approach was built around a firm £70 million valuation ceiling. Their recruitment team operated under strict financial discipline, aiming to secure personal terms first before committing to a club-to-club bidding war. From Newcastle's perspective, that initial number was a non-starter. Having already navigated significant squad reconfigurations this summer, the Magpies placed an unyielding premium on their club captain. Guimaraes isn't just an engine room operator, he is the emotional and tactical anchor of Eddie Howe's transition system. He ranks in the upper percentile across Europe for progressive passes, press resistance, and defensive recoveries per 90 minutes. Losing him isn't an option Newcastle ever welcomed, but every player has an absolute threshold where profit margins align with club sustainability. When reports emerged that Newcastle rejected the baseline offers and maintained an £80 million minimum guarantee, Arsenal paused. That pause gave Stamford Bridge all the permission it needed to explore a hijack. Chelsea's recruitment department under Enzo Maresca operates on raw profile matching. They do not buy positionally, they buy functionally. Look at Chelsea's midfield engine room right now. You have world-class distribution and physical coverage, but during high-intensity games against low blocks or extreme pressing systems, there remains a need for an elite, press-resistant orchestrator who can sustain second-phase possession under pressure. Deploying Guimaraes alongside a double pivot of Enzo and Caicedo fundamentally changes how Chelsea controls the central zone. It frees Enzo to operate in higher pockets of space. It alleviates the ball progression burden from Caicedo, allowing him to focus strictly on central destruction and rest defense positioning. It gives Chelsea 3 elite press breakers in the same engine room. The financial framework required for Chelsea to make this move work isn't trivial. But Chelsea's board has repeatedly demonstrated a willingness to restructure payment terms, offer longer-term contracts, or include targeted player plus cash components to override standard market resistance.